Welcome back, guys. Like I said yesterday, tractor's broke. So that's what today's video is for. I'm using it for snow blowing and was kind of noticing drive shaft felt pretty rough. Like at your feet, you could kind of feel it almost felt like it was hitting the floorboard. Thankfully, that's not what it was doing. It actually ended up just blowing out a bearing on the drive shaft support. So thankfully not too bad. Let me turn this fan off. So thankfully not too bad. Pretty simple fix. Got the parts on order now, just waiting for them to come in. But you can see right down there is where the support was. There's the PTO shaft for the blower itself, just tied up off to the side for now. I'll take you over to the bench and check out what we got. All right, so here you go. Here's the drive shaft bearing components, as well as the bracket itself. You can tell this is what's left of the bearing. Not much. We're missing some material there for sure. So that bearing actually just gets sandwiched into this little bracket here, which will then get bolted onto the actual tractor itself. So based on the drive shaft itself, there's definitely some wear and tear going on from when that blew out. To be honest, I knew about it making that noise for a couple of days, but I thought it was something else. Of course it wasn't. So one bearing sits here, and there's a bearing in the back, further back, that sits right about this area. I ended up ordering both bearings. We'll go ahead and replace them both. If I've already got the whole unit out, I might as well just do a little bit of maintenance while we're at it. But yeah, wow, that's crazy. So, just get this drive shaft cleaned up for now. Go pull that other bearing out, and we'll go pick up the parts tomorrow, and we'll finish this job. So that way the next storm will be all right. All right, so here you can see just how cruddy and nasty that U-joint is in there. So while it's out, I'm just gonna spray it down, let it soak a little bit. We'll get it cleaned up and then re-grease it. That way it's ready to go back in. All right, so here I'm just gonna throw some new fresh grease in. Couldn't tell you last time this thing's been greased. One thing with grease guns, man, if you ever don't have one of these lock and lube attachments, sorry you can't even see it because I'm down, but these things are awesome, man. I've got some press-on Zerks on my dump trailer, and my old grease gun would just rip them right off every time I try to get this thing off of it. So with this mechanism here, it's phenomenal. It's a little expensive, but it's worth the money for sure. Now this side actually, it's like a QD almost. For those of you that haven't seen this style of drive shaft, you go to shove it on your PTO shaft there, and it's kind of like a QD to an air hose or something. It's pretty nice. It makes taking them on and off easy. But this one seems to be a little stuck, so I'm going to try to throw some lube on that just to get it a little bit more free. Alright, so same thing. Just going to wash it up. Alright, so here I got some white lithium grease. I tend to use this for literally everything, which I know somebody's gonna be upset about. But hey, if you get better recommendations, let me know. One thing I don't like about white lithium grease is it always leaves a little bit of a residue, like a grease residue, because it is grease. But yeah, if that's a complaint, I guess, I don't know. I'm not necessarily complaining about what type of grease I'm using, but yeah, give me some more recommendations if you have any for this type of stuff, because I'd like to just keep it stocked up here, because I'm always doing something. It'd be nice just to have around. Do that, much better now. Might shove some down in here. Better. Cool. All right, I'm gonna set the drive shaft aside and we'll jump on the tractor and try to get that other bearing out. Here we are underneath the tractor. You can see the remaining bearing that I have not removed yet. Ooh, that's a tight one. Golly. I need to go ahead and remove that. But of course, these suckers are on there. There we go. Get that one. Now, fortunately, I use a carriage bolt, so the bolt itself doesn't spin. I don't need to put a wrench on it or anything. All right, after some messing around, we finally got that sucker out. And we'll take it up to the bench and see about replacing it. I'll see you there. All right, so we're back up on the bench. Here is our old bearing set up there. And here's the one that just came out. You can see this, of course the heat kicks on. These little brackets, if you will, kind of sandwich that bearing and then fasten it to the frame of the tractor. Pretty simple idea. There you can kind of see. Kind of see that, and the bearing sits right there in the center. Based off just looking at this bearing, it does look smoked. I'm pretty happy that I went ahead and bought another one. It feels pretty smooth still, but you can see a lot of flake in there. So there's definitely some signs of foul play, for sure. Yeah, let me grab the two new ones that just came in. Here they are. So you know if it came from the dealer. It's pretty expensive, surprisingly. Can't believe that two bearings would be so much, but whatever. So here we go. Here's our first one. Now online the part numbers matched. They didn't differentiate between the two. They just said there was two. So I'm hoping they're the same. And it looks like they are. I'm gonna grab that drive shaft real quick and we'll just test fit these two bearings just to be sure they're correct. I don't want to reinstall these suckers and then go to put the drive shaft in and it doesn't work. So, perfect, let's go. All right, here it is. Just test fit these guys, make sure they're good before we throw it all together. One slides on fine. The other one's all good to go. It does seem like there's a little bit of slop there. I don't know if you guys can really see that too much, but kind of see as I go down the shaft a little bit more. It's still there. I mean, these are OEM John Deere parts, so we'll throw it together and see what happens. I mean, theoretically, there shouldn't be much stress on these bearings. All it's doing is keeping this drive shaft straight. I don't know, maybe there's some, but not a ton, I wouldn't think. So let's throw these brackets back onto these bearings and get them reinstalled on the tractor and finish this project up. All right, so this was our front bearing. I don't think there's any difference between the two setups, but just make sure I reinstall it the correct way. Go ahead and remove these bolts and nuts. When I was taking it off, I had mentioned that there was like a square head on the nut, or on, excuse me, on the bolt, so I don't have to put a wrench on the back side. This is what I mean by that. There's a little square hole right there, and it slides in, and as it locks down, it doesn't turn anymore. Makes it kind of handy. You don't need to have a second wrench on there to hold the bolt when you remove the nuts. All right, I suppose that's all it is right there. So do the other one, and I'll meet you down underneath the tractor. All right, so let's get one in. Oh, let's do two since it's kind of at a weird angle. Okay. Now I'll see you when I get the front done. All right, so what I did there was I took the bearing off on the front because I just could not for the life of me get them lined up. I took it off, got it reseated, and just loosely threaded the nuts on. Now we'll connect the back side of the drive shaft before we tighten up those bolts up front. So right there you can see where the PTO shaft comes out. And like I was saying earlier about the QD, try to do this to where you guys can still see. So all you need to do is kind of line up the threads. Right there, they're lined up. I'm gonna pull that collar back, push it on, and that's it. And it's connected. Perfect. Now, one of the rattles I had found on this thing was this little bracket here coming down and making contact with that drive shaft. I don't have any good way of securing that up. It must be for the mower deck or something. I'm not sure. If you guys know of any way to get this up higher, let me know, because that rattling drives me nuts. All right, let's go back up front and tighten up those bolts. All right, so I'm not gonna lie to you. That was pretty brutal up until I removed the front bearing and tried to reinstall that way. That's definitely the way I'll do it in the future if I ever end up needing to do this again. Hopefully not. But yeah, that was much more complicated than I thought it would be. But now all that's left is to attach our PTO shaft on the blower itself. So let's knock that out real quick and we'll get this project done. I had just wired this up because I was moving the tractor around a couple times and I didn't want to accidentally lose the shaft. This is the same way as the one in the back. It's got a QD. Just like so. So just align the threads. You guys probably can't see this, but it's the exact same process as in the back. There we go. We are connected. Good to go. I'm gonna touch that Zerk up right there. Looks like I might have missed that before. This drive shaft was just serviced before the season, so not too concerned about that. Yeah, not horrible. I wish we could test it, but as you can tell, we have no snow. There's the trailer from the other day. Still need to go get the wood for that deck, but yeah, our driveway is all clear. We don't need to blow any snow with this thing, at least for the time being. I know we've got a couple storms coming in this week, so I'm sure there'll be more videos on that. But yeah, so that's it for this project. I'm gonna clean up, throw some old parts away that broke, and get ready for the next storm. If you guys are interested, by all means, let me know what you want to see. I'm doing all kinds of projects between working on the house or working on the bikes, working on the sled. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Just let me know what you guys want to see. And if you don't mind, give me a like, maybe subscribe. Who knows? Let's see where this thing goes. See ya.